Welcome to another episode of TV Toastmasters. My name is Allison Bennett, and I am the host for this episode. And today I have Brenda Bryan. She is a kick-ass transformational coach. And if you don't know what that means, then she's going to let us know. Welcome, Brenda. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. And I've been calling myself a diviner of human potential lately because it's lifts and elevates to another level of how I do touch people's souls for them to be more themselves.
Okay, so a diviner of human potential.
Yeah.
So do you use a divining rod?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mostly they call them crystals these days.
Okay.
No, it's really about seeing people's energy and tapping into what is a signature of who they are that they might not be claiming for themselves. And so being an empath and a sensitive, I kind of get the feeling for how people are meant to be in the world. And then I see when they're cloaking that, and that my job is to help them to drop the cloaking and to show up more authentically as themselves.
How do you do that? Like, what are some of the things you do to help them do that?
Well, first of all, I try to make them laugh because that's always a good thing, right? Is to make them laugh. But it's a bunch of steps, and one of them is to teach people how to breathe, so that they can drop more clearly into their own center and to use breath as a way to recharge the brain.
So that's,
because
yeah, that sounds a little Buddhist. So how to breathe? So is there really something to that breathing thing, or is that?
Well, you just sit there for 2 minutes and let me know how that goes.
Hey, you made your point. That's a good point.
So anybody,
So you think most of us don't breathe enough? Do we, or too shallow or something?
Too shallow. Most people are caught in the fight and flight mode and don't know it, so they're only using a quarter of their lungs. And so when we go deeper down into the lower regions of the lungs, what starts to happen is we actually start to really feed our body and feed our brains with the energy it needs to actually be able to be clear, to be able to make better choices, to be able to be present for people. So breath and using breath effectively, conscious breathing can really change how we interact with people.
That's interesting. So my background is with the performing arts and the performing artists. And we, of course, use a lot of projection, and we learn to breathe from our diaphragm. And we do that for several things: to fill the room with sound, to lower our voice, and then to also help alleviate the strain. But we do these things for, I would say, more physical reasons. But now you're saying to use the breath for not just physical reasons, to get the oxygen moving through the body, but actually to help, what do you think, calm and clarify?
It helps to center you, it helps to ground you, it helps to clear the brain, clear the head, clear your thinking, and it feeds you, because we need oxygen in the blood in order for us to actually be thinking clearly. And so when we're in fight or flight, we're actually frozen half the time. And so in that frozen place, how can we possibly go for our full potential when we're constantly in the grip of stress and anxiety and day-to-day work world things that are hard to manage all the time? And so we want to kind of take a step into coming back home to self, taking a nice deep breath all the way down into the diaphragm and letting it go, and then taking a couple more till you feel yourself shift, and you will feel a shift.
That is so cool. So that's something that our viewers could actually do if they're feeling maybe contracted or in that fight or flight type feeling.
Yes.
If they just relax and then take a couple of deep breaths, that could actually help them shift into a different space so that they can interact with the world better.
Absolutely. And if you've got triggered, or somebody said something to you and you find yourself coming up with really big energy, interrupt kind of how you would normally respond by taking a couple of breaths before you respond, and you'll find that you'll be able to navigate that conversation from a place of actually being curious.
Being curious. I love that. I want to go back because you said something that reminded me of something my parents used to say is, okay, if when people get upset, to take a big breath, deep breath, count to 10.
Right.
And so it's the same kind of idea.
Same principle. Interrupt the pattern by doing something that has you coming home, focusing on what's going on for you, and then you'll be able to represent yourself more true to your own heart.
So I'm excited because we're about ready to take a break, but give us a couple ideas of what else that we can talk about right after the break.
Well, we're going to want to talk about women being bold, being brave, and being powerful. And we're going to talk about women raising their voice, what it means to be a woman in this time, and the importance of women finding their voice and using it to become visible.
Well, I'm sure our audience is going to love that, so we'll see you after break.
I joined Toastmasters to improve my speaking, listening, communication, and leadership skills.
Toastmasters gave me
incredible confidence,
confidence,
great listening skills,
poise,
great leadership skills,
leadership skills,
the ability to speak in public,
strength,
a captive audience,
quality feedback from the more experienced Toastmasters.
Toastmasters really helped me improve my listening skills,
sales skills,
opportunities to go to different groups and widen my whole horizon.
Toastmasters has given me a more focused me, and I'm a much better listener. Toastmasters is fulfilling.
It's a great place to fail your way to success.
Wonderful way to meet people.
networking,
strength.
It's addictive.
It's a club of self-improvement.
It's an experience, it's a ride that you won't forget, and you'll enjoy it every step of the way.
Toastmasters helped me land a kick-butt job.
I sang at one of my table topic speeches, and people liked it and applauded.
My business is doing great, and I'm very, very grateful to Toastmasters.
It's been a great experience for me.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for giving me so much confidence.
thank you Toastmasters for everything.
Welcome back to TV Toastmasters. My name is Allison Bennett, and we are talking with Brenda Bryan. She is a kick-ass transformational coach who divines your inner who you should be. Actually, she explains that way better. Brenda, tell me about, you talked about raise your voice. You were talking about women, and women really, this is the time for women to speak up and speak out. So tell me about this thing you said about raise your voice.
Well, I've been working really hard on behalf of women for 45 years. And we're in a pivotal time in the history of women where we really get to show up and do things that we've never done before. And so I put together a program called Raise Your Voice, which is about helping women to really own their genius. And to know that they're working in their genius a lot, but nobody's giving them feedback to tell them what that looks like or what it sounds like or how they can actualize it to more effective use. And I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs. And so when you're working with a woman who are out there to be visible and yet are afraid to speak or afraid to be seen or afraid that they're not going to say it right because we've been taught to be perfectionists, then what happens is they get stuck. And my job is to help them recognize that that it is a muscle that we get to exercise, and it is skills and tools that we can actually learn, because emotional intelligence is that way, speaking is that way, and raising our voice is that way. We can learn how to do it. And so I've put together a speakers club called Be Bold, Be Brave, Be Powerful Speakers Club. And it's really about creating a safe place for women to come in and take the risk of experimenting with, well, what would it be like if I was all that I could be? What would it be like if I said it this way, or if I said it that way? What would it be like if I actually told that story that I've never told anybody before, and how would that make me more accessible to my tribe or to my people that I'm supposed to serve? And having a sacred circle or sacred space to do that really provides the opportunity for the things that we've been shamed about or pains that we've had because we didn't do it right in the first place. This is not about doing it right. This is about learning to be authentically in the moment, presencing yourself in the moment, and being able to really stand for yourself to the highest degree you can in the moment, because we're going to keep expanding, keep growing, and keep building and keep raising our voice to be more effective at really speaking for ourselves.
You just gave us a ton of information, and I so appreciate that. And to break it down, you were talking about tools.
Yes.
And what are some tools that we can use to become a bigger voice, to like be our authentic self?
Well, let's go back to the breath.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the things that we need to do to be more authentically ourselves is to presence ourselves. To stand and know what we're feeling, what the sensations are in our body, to know what we want to communicate, to set our intentions. So being present is really, we all want to be seen, known, and heard. And when I can sit with you and you know that I'm sitting and witnessing you, and you can feel that, then the connection we're going to have is going to be much stronger. Our hearts are going to connect more authentically, and we're going to be able to share more about who we are. So taking deep breaths and sitting in the calmness of our own grounding and focusing on what really matters to us, presencing who we are so that we can presence others more effectively.
So if we are caught up in our busy, busy world, we got kids, we got school, we've got after school things, we've got work to do, we've got hyper, and we're, and plus we've got our own activities, gym or soccer or whatever it is we do. How, in the midst of all that stuff, can we like be really present? Like, are there steps that we can actually take to try to become more present?
Well, I'm a really strong advocate for meditation, and even if you meditate it for 5 minutes, you'll be more effectively present than if you don't. So meditate. Now people say, oh, I can't meditate. It's like, well, if you can take a walk, you can meditate. If you can breathe, you can meditate. Meditation isn't about controlling the thoughts that go through your brain, but witnessing them. And so when we can take the time just to sit and notice what's going on for ourselves, then we actually start to become the masters of our own universe. And yes, we're busy, but are we crazy busy? Are we trying to prove something with that busy? Are we saying yes to too many things and not enough no's to our, so that we can take a yes for ourselves and hold a space? And busy mothers, people who do have careers and partners, all have a huge agenda. But to actually take that agenda and have it to be more effective, we really need to know how to be in the moment in a way that we're directing our attention to the things that really serve our highest purpose. And we need to take control of that.
So what other things can we do, or how can we also get our voices to be out there, to be heard, instead of hiding ourselves, and what are some other steps?
Well, I think practicing speaking, telling our story, finding the Speakers Club is really about putting together a sacred circle where you can actually practice finding out who I am, but also unmasking stories that you might not have told, because somewhere in that journey there's a story that's holding you back. There's a story that you were told you were something, but in discovery, as you speak to that, somebody in the circle is going to say, "Is that true?" And if it's not true, are you willing to hand it back? Because there's a lot about our position as women that we've been told that has nothing to do with us at all. But we've taken it on as being true. And if you dig into it, you'll find out it's like, being a perfectionist is impossible. You can't be that. Knowing that we have skills that need to be shared and things that matter in terms of holding to world change. And women have amazing skills that, first of all, they're capable of multitasking, because they can feed a kid, write a proposal, cook dinner, and clean the dishes all at the same time, right? Or run a corporation, have children, right? Exercise, and run a nonprofit.
Exactly.
Right? Women do this all the time. Most men have a focus, and that's where they're at. They're in that focus, and that's how their brain was trained. Our brains have been trained to actually be jugglers. But we need to know what we're juggling and the reasons we're juggling that. So holding the space for our highest purpose, our highest intent, is all part of learning how to be healthy in our bodies. And self-love and self-care needs to be a big part of that. So part of raising our voice is really about learning what radical self-care is. Speaking up for the deepest part of us that needs to be nurtured and taken care of. I'm not talking about a mani-pedi, I'm not talking about getting our hair cut, I'm talking about the deeper part of us that has a voice that needs to be put into action because we have a purpose to fulfill.
And how do we put that into action? How do we do that?
Well, we need to focus on listening to the quieter voice inside of us. So when we're in high action mode all the time and we've got no time to reflect or no time to journal or no time to dream, then we're not giving that aspect of ourselves that is part of our directive. When we came in on this planet, we were given a directive. We had a purpose to fulfill. And so we need to be listening to what that is now so that we can be participating in it.
You were talking about curiosity earlier.
Yeah.
I love curiosity. I love asking questions. And I love asking questions about programming, like especially programming around me as a woman or us as mothers. And I love to ask questions like, so where did that idea come from?
Right.
And was it useful then? Was it useful at that time of society? Can we move on?
Right.
And what other curiosities do you like to ponder about, or you think women could ponder about?
Well, I think we need to ponder about, is this what I want to be in the world? Who am I free of this story? And I think it's important to really reflect on our story because we've bought in. We've bought in that we need to be mothers, or we need to be married, or we need to stay at home, or we need to. There's a lot of, or we're no good at math, or we've bought into a lot of stories, and I think the curiosity needs to come with like, is that true? Or is that my belief, or is that somebody else's belief?
Yes.
And if that's my belief, how did I get that belief? And still, is it my belief?
Right.
Because beliefs are poured in. We're like a cup that you pour coffee in, we get filled up with it. And we have to discover whether that's what we want in our cup anymore. And we get to decide that.
And what really lights your fire? What ignites you? What makes you just excited to wake up in the morning or to be here?
Well, I think seeing women take the lead and being creative and starting new businesses and doing new things. I mean, women are out there reinventing the way economy is being done. They're reinventing how we do business together. We're taking charge of things from a different kind of place, and we're bartering and we're sharing and we're collaborating and we're co-creating. And when we co-create and when we collaborate, the power of us really coming together and building a community around that is so much more vibrant and powerful. And that, I think, is where we need to be moving to, is to recognize that we've been programmed to believe that women are bitchy to each other and we can't trust each other, and that we have to fight for our man, or we have to fight for our place. And the movement that's afoot is really about co-creation and collaboration. And when we come together and we share our resources and we share our intelligence and we share our creativity, everybody rises. Everybody rises.
So how did you find your voice? What are some things that you've done in your life to help you find your voice?
Well, I think coming to Toastmasters was a really effective way for me. I rebooted my career 7 years ago, and I was actually a hermit for 12 years. I renovated houses. And when I had this medical situation, Spirit said, give it all up, surrender. Go do something different. And I went, well, what would that look like? So one of the first things I did when I moved to Portland was I joined Toastmasters, and it was really I was smart. I'm like, wow, that was a really good move, because I knew that I had been playing a small game and that I was hiding, and that if I wasn't going to hide, what was I going to do? And I needed the skills. So I joined Toastmasters, and I joined a really great club, the Red Cross Toastmasters with Dick.
That's where we met.
That's where we met, and that was such a welcoming, warm-hearted, and Dick was such a great mentor that I really felt encouraged to keep going. And so I did, and I do.
And is there anything else in the last couple of minutes that you really want our audience to walk away with?
I think it's an important time for us to claim our divine femininity, to step into recognizing that we have powers that are absolutely necessary to awaken in order to really help our communities, help our children, help each other to really create the values that matter to us. And so for women, it is my belief that we are needed, and we're needed now. There's no like waiting, and that we can step in and learn a lot of the things that we've been told we can't learn, and that we can unlearn a lot of the things that we learned because we were told that was the only way to do it. But that's not true anymore. What's true now is like, how do you want to create it?
How do you want to create it?
How do you want to do it? Let's play. Let's
what
see
else
we can
is
do.
possible?
What else is possible?
I love it. So in this last second or two, if people want to get a hold of you, or they want to be in touch or do something that you're doing, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website, and it's www.Brenda, B-R-E-N-D-A, Bryan, BRYAN.com. And you can also email me at brendabryan@gmail.com. Either those will work. And I'm a phone person too, so you can call me, which is on my website. So
that's terrific. Well, Brenda, I'm so glad that you had this chance to stop by and talk to us about this. This is amazing work, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else can we do? What else can we females do? And how can men really support us and really be excited about what we're doing and co-create with us?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of TV Toastmasters, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Welcome to an opportunity to take the next step of your professional speaking journey. I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever wished you were a star in a television show, or at an event where the media is interviewing bystanders and you are wanting to be picked to give your opinion of the event? Or even in the smallest sense, you're at a sports game and secretly hope that your smiling face would appear on that big jumbo screen TV. But the jumbo screen always finds the fans with the painted faces. And you think to yourself, maybe next time. Well, what if I can offer you a chance to be on TV? Would you take it? That is what I want to offer you now. I'm Dottie Love, Associate TV Producer and Director. Toastmasters International is one of the largest organizations whose mission is to help improve your speaking skills. And District 7 is expanding your opportunities to do speaking via television. We have 4 fully equipped television studios and TV Toastmaster broadcasts to over 500,000 homes, plus a YouTube channel. Who knew? We want to invite you to take advantage of using media and television, either in front or behind the scenes. Let me share a few options that you have. First, you can be a guest on a show. Highlight your business or hobby or your community interest. Anything you're passionate about. Be a featured guest. Secondly, you can train to be a host on an ongoing TV segment. We will train you for that. Third, what about creating your own talk show? We will train you for that as well and give you access to a community media studio to do just that. Or lastly, be behind the scenes, either running a camera or editing shows. You decide which avenue is best for you, and our TV Toastmasters team will help you to navigate to get the most out of your media experience. Personally, I've done them all. I started as a guest, went to hosting, up to directing my own TV show. I don't tell you this to impress you. I tell you this to impress upon you that your personal growth with Toastmasters is directly related to what you take advantage of. and I encourage you to be bold in looking for opportunities to stretch and grow. If this intrigues you, or if you have club members who you think that might be interested in this, please contact us here at TV Toastmasters. I'm Dottie Love, and you can reach me or any of us in the TV Toastmasters family at the contact information at the bottom of the screen. You can also find us on the web. Our website is 7512.toastmastersclub.org.